if I did one of those things where I was like, come with me?
Well, that's a blooper.
To my crib.
Hello, I would like to take you along and what was perhaps the most chaotic 2 weeks of my life that included the end of NaNoWriMo and what I thought was a genuine push that I could make it while simultaneously attending Comic-Con and not getting home from San Diego until December 1st. Passing 50K in my Project Death rewrite, flying home, getting sick, and now here we are. Oh, getting my booster shot? Heyo. Anyways, as the journey is kind of long and winding in itself, let's just go ahead and get started on an amazing time and trip at the same time. That's what it was. I would like to take you back to American Thanksgiving. I started the day very early by taking some overdue books back to the library, where I was greeted by some slightly ominous weather.
Ooh, got that lightning.
And after a breakfast Thanksgiving, we were on the road to the airport. The airport itself was in a festive mood. Now at this time, I was somewhat under the impression that I would be able to work while I was waiting for the flight, while I was on the plane, while I was in transport multiple places. Like, this was going to be kind of a long trek.
You think that's our bag?
As we were going from San Antonio, had a layover in Las Vegas, and then we're going to arrive in San Diego. So it was really a full day of travel, or what felt like a full day of travel. And in my mind, that meant plenty of time to write. Like, what else was I gonna do on the plane? Which I did manage to do a little bit, but honestly, the word count I achieved was so sad, I almost don't want to tell you. In fact, I think I blocked it out of my brain, but I want to say it was only about like 500 words. And 500 might be generous. Like, I might be trying to help myself out here. It might have been like 200, but I will speak on that later. So after my rather pathetic 200 words or so, now let's give myself 500 again. After my pathetic 500 words or so. We arrived in Vegas, which I'm really only including here because I grew up in Vegas. And also it's always so much fun to see the slot machines while in the airport. And in fact, this kind of continues on the insanity for me because I will basically have only had a week and a half that I was home from Comic-Con and from San Diego, and I'm about to leave on a trip to go to Vegas to go to a friend's wedding, so. But we'll talk to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. It was back on the plane for me, and I will not even pretend that I attempted to write from Vegas to San Diego. We did do a little bit of a funny sort of going over the ocean and hooking a little bit to come back and land. Much like the first leg of the flight, it was really bumpy. I feel like that lightning strike in San Antonio tried to warn me. But of course, the funny thing about stories is that I was thinking about mine the entire time when I wasn't watching Best Baker in America, which was a great show, and I'm sad I cannot find it elsewhere. The point I'm making is there was a lot of percolation time, which I can't quite pinpoint when in that percolation time I was like making slow progress toward an aha, but I think my brain was putting in the work so that future me would be able to benefit. Then we hopped in the Uber, got to see a little bit of San Diego as we passed by, and then arrived at the hotel, which I decided was the perfect opportunity whilst in the elevator up to our floor to tell the boyfriend that, as it turns out, the hotel was haunted.
I didn't intentionally get the haunted place because that's always been my dream, but that was a surprise. 224.
But I did not focus on the haunting so much as my tummy was a rumbling. It was time for our first meal in San Diego. Every time I travel, I take almost more food photos and more coffee and drink photos than anything else. But it was nice after being cramped for so long to just kind of go on a walk around the gas lamp quarter, which was where we were staying. And it's worth noting that we did return to that gelato place like 2 or 3 more times. But after having to be up so early to prepare for the flight and Thanksgiving and everything else, and the time zone being a little bit wonky, I think the boyfriend and I passed out at like 7 p.m. because the next day was freaking Comic-Con.
This fireplace was actually still on when we got in here. There's a little knob, so the boyfriend had to blow it out because it wouldn't turn off. But we stopped by yesterday, got food, and picked up some water. A big boy. But Look at that. It's so nice outside. It got dark so early last night. I was not used to it. I already feel like Texas gets dark really early, but my goodness. I feel like I remember when I was a kid, Vegas got dark really early too, but this was something else. There's enough room for one person to sit. Oh. There we go. But I'm so excited. It's Comic-Con. It's Comic-Con. I genuinely have no idea what to expect, especially with this special edition, special edition of Comic-Con. Also, I managed to get a little bit of writing done while on the plane yesterday, but I realized that like, I'm just not a huge fan of typing on planes, and I was a little bit stuck, so it just felt like it was mocking me. Like the discomfort was mocking me. Like not only can your brain not figure out what words they're wanting to say, but also you're going to be uncomfortable until you do. We also had a fair bit of turbulence, so our like upright locked position of the seats and the seat backs, the tray tables, was for like half our flight, so we'll see how much I managed to get done today, but it is like 7 o'clock. We're meeting with Becca and Stephan at 8. Yay. Oh. I was trying to be dramatic. Oh no. Okay, well. Ta-da! I thought I would attempt to show you a what is in my bag Comic-Con edition, and that's what all of this footage was supposed to be, though it ended up being a little bit of nonsense. I find all of my best intentions often turn to a little bit of nonsense. But once again, because the time zone was all wonky, the boyfriend and I got a head start on meeting Becca and Stephan, so we stopped for some coffee, which thankfully we got our worst coffee of the trip sort of out of the way early on, and so we took the long way, kind of again exploring the Gaslamp Quarter. It's just so many stairs.
It is. Just because everyone's very fit.
And actually stumbled upon them setting up part of the outside demonstrations, I guess. This one for Peacemaker. Historic San Diego. Before joining Becca and Stephan at where they were staying, the Hard Rock. Now I have a bit of a funny story here because I've not shown the boyfriend on camera any of this time, and I don't think any of my online friends had seen them. They've just, you know, heard about him or maybe like vaguely seen him disappearing into the background of a video. Some of them have started joking that he does not exist. And so, because we were walking around, we drank all that coffee, the boyfriend had to go to the bathroom, so I'm sitting there waiting for Becca and Stephan to come down and waiting for the boyfriend to get back from the bathroom. Well, Becca and Stephan beat him, and they only see me. And they were whispering to themselves like, this is it. This is, the boyfriend's really not real. I think they joked about me pulling out like a puppet and this being like, here's the boyfriend. Like I truly fully cracked with quarantine and the pandemic, and you know what? I kind of think this would be funny. I have a couple more friends I could potentially pull this on, and I think I'm gonna try. Then it was very quickly off to what we thought was going to be the start of our day at Comic-Con, but as it turned out, we had our times a little bit wrong. So we were able to go and get our COVID bracelet. We had to show our COVID card. Was vaccinated. And then that wristband was we were supposed to wear all weekend. Now this is Friday, keep in mind. So you're have to going through Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. As you will see, that wristband, by the end of it, had, you know, it had seen a lot, including food poisoning. We'll get to there. But the next line that we're allowed to get in, the next line that we get in is actually to get our pass, our little badge, which was so freaking cool. Plus, because Becca and Stephan are professionals, I have a little professional listed on mine.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Hello. Oh, thank you.
And then they had these very cool bags that included some hand sanitizer, which was nice. And then I took a video of this guy asking Becca to pose with her bag, her little chopper bag, which was just so cool. Let me tell you, not only was that one of my favorite things about Comic-Con, seeing all of the cosplay, all of the like amazing talent and dedication, but also I have Becca as a perfect example. Like,
But sometimes words escape me, but I think about how like skilled she is and all of the different like talents and passions she has. It's just so cool. So throughout Comic-Con, as I'm hanging out with her, I get to see people coming up and just like their eyes getting wider and so excited at her bags and her skirts, like everything else, and it's just so cool. So anyways, that truly was a joy. So since we got the times actually a little bit off for the start of Comic-Con, we were able to go and get food. I got a breakfast pizza, which was amazing. And then we stopped by another one of the kind of outdoor, why am I calling it a presentation? What word am I thinking of? Anyways, for reference, whilst I'm editing this, I actually have the title for the scene as LOL La Brea. Because it was basically just picture spots within a semi-themed La Brea thing. It was interesting is what I'm saying. The line would come and go. We had a line that we were staying in to do it because the con wasn't open yet, right? It was really cute though. Got a little sci-fi swag bag after.
First bit of swag.
Momentarily stopped by the Peacemaker portion again. They were still sort of setting up. And then we could tell that like Comic-Con was actually starting or about to start because there were way more people. So we had to wait in another line before they kind of set us up in this corral system. It was really interesting the way they'd sort of figured out how to do this. And I'll say that they didn't have to do it any other time in the weekend, at least the times we got there. In fact, the first day I think was the most crowded that I saw the convention center at all. In my mind, it was fucking wild, right? But of course this was special edition, and by Becca's standards, this was like not wild at all. So through the first bit we go, and you can kind of see Stephan getting some B-roll of Becca. That was another really fun thing, especially because I've already gotten to see Becca's video by the time that I'm filming this one. So I got to see how cool the footage turned out. So it was also really cool just to see him work, and the way he captures Becca is just really beautiful and fun. So anyways, on we go up through the artist's alley.
Shockingly not as bad now.
So we made it all the way from the entrance to the artist alley to the very back of the convention center. And again, they didn't really have everything open the way it normally is. I hadn't even been upstairs yet and I was already like, holy shit, this is fucking huge. So we took a little bit of like a sensory break, a little health break, and decided to chill out for the afternoon. Once again, in my head, this was like prime writing time, but I think again, something with the sort of sensory overload and all of the travel, I was just beat. So best laid plans, right? I totally thought, I was like, I'll have plenty of time. Like I didn't want to bank on having time, but in my head I was still like, I'll have plenty of time to do NaNoWriMo. And I guess realistically, time wasn't the issue, right? Like if I was on an intense deadline, I could have pushed and done it. But I didn't. And I don't think my brain really could have done it unless I was on an intense deadline. So all that to say, we went back a little bit later in the afternoon / evening after a nap break, strolled around a little bit more. And I swear I saw stuff that was not there before. Like there's just so much stuff, and I thought I went like up and down, and I missed so many things. For the record, I felt that way literally every time I went. It was a new thing that I was discovering. I don't know if it's the amount of people that are there. Sometimes blocking views, sometimes not. Sensory overload in the best kind of way though, because it's like a nerd explosion sensory overload. Then we met up with Becca and Stephan later that night for some sushi and seafood, which was phenomenal. And then I passed the fuck out.
TJ?
Tijuana.
Oh, Tijuana, yay.
Now day 2 begins, of course, with more coffee. This time we tried someplace that was a little bit farther away, but amazing. And I will take you guys on a tour of our hotel later, but I did want to show you a little bit, mostly the kind of spooky looking old furniture. They had some that you couldn't even touch as it was, you know, more historical in value. So anyways, ooh. Then we met up with Becca and Stephan again, and it was on to day 2, where people were enamored with the alligator Loki bag that Becca had. I actually ended up buying 6 t-shirts to give to various people from the Tea Turtle. Saw an old classic Inuyasha from when I wrote Inuyasha fanfiction. And then the boyfriend and I split up because I had plans to meet Becca at one of the panels.
I'm on my way to Becca. We're gonna watch a panel about script writing. Oh, that lit up. Oh wow, we haven't even been to this area yet. There's more stuff. More stuff. So Becca and I had just been talking about script writing and screenwriting too, so when we saw this was the panel that was gonna happen, we were like, okay. It's a lot chiller. Like, I've watched Becca's old Comic-Con videos and it's insane, right? So this is kind of a neat, different experience. I don't know what it's usually like up at the top here, but and she said ballroom 7AB. Wow, this place is huge. Okay, I spy Becca.
Wanna check this out?
We're at the panel.
Please welcome Michael Price. Let's jump right in. 4 words or less. Allison, do you want to start us off?
All right, I don't know if I can say them. All right, be yourself, kind, creative.
Ooh, killed it. No pressure, everybody else. Do what you love.
I mean, it is though.
Yeah, remember, I remember you saw my vlog where we were
Yes, that's what.
Veronica Mars. It was like all the way. Oh yeah, and down here, let me show you. Okay, so all the way down there is Hall H, right?
Yeah.
This is where I was. That's what I'm saying.
Holy shit. Oh, so when you're like, there's no way you're gonna get in, and then.
Yeah, my vlog was like, there's no way, it's not happening. I'm not getting in.
Wow.
I still got in.
We said inspiring but not informative. Thank you.
I actually ended up getting dice a little bit later from this Misty Mountain gaming place, so a lot of the footage that I have is just things that I also wanted to return to later. And then we went for lunch. It's worth noting at lunch, this was one of my favorite meals I had. It was so good that I didn't even bother filming breakfast because it was a bad pick. Made worse, actually, later in the day when Becca went back to hang at the hotel, the boyfriend Stephan and I went to go try another coffee place because, you know, I have a never-ending list. And I was starting to not feel so good, not feel so hot. You know, the thing with the masks, I actually love wearing a mask in public, in part because I have pretty bad seasonal allergies, but also because, you know, people can only see right here, which is wonderful. When you're starting to feel the effects of food poisoning, that mask gets real hot. And I had to go outside so that I could take my mask off and like start pacing. And I knew something was wrong with this breakfast when I had it, if I'm being totally honest. And I just didn't say anything because I'm a dum-dum. And I got very ill. Becca very kindly sent me a video of Comic-Con the musical that had happened several years ago. It was very funny, but it talks about getting the con flu, getting sick at Comic-Con or from Comic-Con. This one I can't even blame on Comic-Con food because I didn't have any food there, but also I know what did me in. I will not go into the graphic details, just that I want you to know that they were graphic. And I was basically out for the rest of the night, unfortunately. I did expel everything from my stomach, so I was more or less good to go. The next day, though, I took it a little bit easy on my stomach for those first couple meals.
This is scene better days.
But at this point, it's the final day of Comic-Con and we're actually starting to see these booths already clearing out, either because they'd sold everything, they'd had enough of the convention.
Even Fauci came out of it. Like, it's already 15.
It's not crowded at all, it's wild. Once she turns around, we gotta freeze. You're just gonna hold it.
Oh, I'm going to.
Well, don't we run toward her?
Yes. Green light.
Oh, what'd you say?
Green light. Red light.
Kinda wanna do like legit cosplay next.
Alex, real quick. I just want to see if they have the.
Look at this duo. Crushing it.
And then it was finally time to say goodbye to Becca and Stephan. They had a long drive back to LA full of traffic, unfortunately. But because of how weird flights and stuff were, it was actually cheaper for the boyfriend and I to stay in San Diego because there were actually no flights back on Sunday after American Thanksgiving, and Monday and Tuesday were just insane. So we were gonna be there for quite a bit longer and I really just wanted to see what the end of the convention looked like, how many people were still around. But we did take a midday break and I did finally get a little bit more writing in. I was able to get past the part that I was stuck on the plane, but the call of the con was too strong and we ended up back there again around midday at this point.
What if I did one of those things where I was like, come with me?
Well, that's a
Welcome to
blooper.
my crib.
We had accumulated quite a few things. Packing was going to be a fun little adventure in itself, but we got the merch. And I got some earrings that I'm actually wearing right now.
Combining two very different things. So they have a lot of small presses here, more book publishers and all sorts of things here. No.
So we decided to have a late lunch, which was actually really, really good. And of course, some more coffee. I got an iced Nutella, which was just divine. And we picked up some cheesecake to go hang out around the pier and just sort of explore the waterfront of this area of San Diego, which I have been to San Diego a couple times before. Once when I was on my Super Mega Solo road trip, and once when I was on a road trip with my brothers where San Diego was our final spot. And I do just always really like that sort of walkway by the water. It's just nice and fun and the shops there are cute and I just love water.
Because the convention center's there and then we see our hotel right there.
And I think we ended up back at the con with about an hour left.
So the actual last day is busier than when we first came this morning with Stephan and Becca.
Yeah. Well, it's more frantic.
Last out,
Like,
more
it's
frantic.
The energy, I would say.
Yeah.
So it was kind of an interesting timing situation for a lot of the various booths, but we walked around more, we were able to see a lot more than we were certainly that first day. Like there was a stark difference in the level of crowds. And once again, it's just frankly fun to walk around and explore the area and see everyone in cosplay and just feel this sort of bond with other people who love nerdy things, who love TV shows, who love books. It was really cool to see a lot more indie stuff there and what a lot of people were calling like a throwback to Comic-Con of old.
Once again, the exhibit hall will be closing in 30 minutes. Please finalize your purchases and start heading to the front of the exhibit hall.
That's all I got, and it's not even Batman. The Lokis are cute. All right, so Artist Alley's almost done. What time is it?
15 till 5.
15 till 5. And this is what it looks like. Pretty bare. Last minute purchases.
The track.
And to think that the other day we were standing in that line. What? Were there booths on this side?
A lot more indies. There were several indie publishers, lots of people selling their books there, which was really cool. Honestly, I'm glad that we had a flight that we had to take instead of driving back, because I think if we had driven, we would have ended up with much more stuff. Especially because toward the end of the con, people were just like giving stuff away, or like it was half off and then it was like 75% off, and it's like, no, really, give me a little bit of money and just take it, because I do not want to have to take it back home with me.
Goodbye, Comic-Con. I don't think you can tell, but I am frowning.
You're frowning?
Yeah, as we leave. Oop. Goodbye. Goodbye, Comic-Con. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Oh look, we left our blinds open a little. I am ready for the relief. Oh no. Ah! Freedom! Oh.
Now, after being the home of Comic-Con, to me, San Diego is best known for its zoo. I went when I came with my brothers. The boyfriend had gone previously and had a bad experience. He had to speed run it. So we decided that we wanted to go back and see it again. I know some people don't like zoos, so I will put timestamps if you would like to avoid that part of this vlog. But before then, we went to go get some more coffee. I got some avocado toast based off of a recommendation that Carver Bain left me on my Instagram post the day before. And oh my God, this place was so good. And then it was time to head to the zoo, which I love so much. I love their conservation work. I love how huge and roaming and sprawling it is.
I got a fucking polar bear.
All right, everybody, is Stephen ready? All right, 3, 2, 1. Oh, welcome to the San Diego Zoo, and there they go, folks.
If we go Discovery, because that's a closed loop, then we can come back up the treetop.
Okay.
All about the Animal Crossing.
And I love seeing mannerisms of my own pets in the animals there, and relentlessly commented on it all day.
No. In 2014, the San Diego Zoo was the first zoo in the US ever to breed this species. Are you playing Count the Squirrel? Are you seeing how many squirrels you can get? That's 2. This squirrel is so unbothered.
That is a fat freaking squirrel.
Threats are logging, agriculture, and hunting. Shares the giant panda's habitat in the forests of China.
Yeah, we are. Have fun. All right.
You're cute.
I am cute.
Look at that tongue.
Now, food poisoning meal aside, the worst food I had was in the zoo. So we decided about midday to actually walk across Balboa Park, get to explore that a little bit, but also go find some not overpriced and better food. And of course, some coffee. I did love getting to see all the various museums that were in Balboa Park. Tons of people outside playing, lots of pets everywhere. It was just a very fun area, very touristy, but very fun. I loved the celebration and the focus on the arts, and I'm just like a huge fan of old building, the architecture of the buildings that were around there. So I was very glad we decided to take some time outside of it. But then we We returned to the zoo to see more animals.
I see it. Oh, they got you good.
They did. Thank you. Me by myself after having too much of the extroverts.
Look at him.
And that's the bridge we were just walking over earlier and then came back on.
We ended up walking as much as I do when I go to Disney World, which is to say that it was a shit ton of steps. Very sore feet afterwards, so we Ubered back to our haunted hotel, took a little bit of break, and then went and got some really good cheesesteaks, and then we're done for the night. And with our final full day, we'd actually planned on taking mostly just like a lazy day, as the boyfriend had to return immediately to work upon our return. So of course my one request for the day was to try more coffee.
Nitro Methlonic, very good. Less good.
And check out the San Diego Public Library. I will say in the grand scheme of things, this was not one of my favorite libraries, but I did really love the numerous amounts of tables and workspace and how they featured local author books. But then it was time for lunch, where we basically just got happy hour appetizers and drinks, and they were amazing.
Cheers. Thank you.
The atmosphere was really cool, and actually the kitchen was connected to our favorite coffee shop slash bagel place, so we knew the food was going to be good. And that was actually our last stop, was that coffee shop bagel place the next day, before it was time to hit the road, check out, get on the plane, have another very long travel day, and come home. And that was late December 1st. Now, upon my return home, and actually part of the way through the last flight, I was really not feeling very good. And unfortunately, I ended up coming down with a really bad cold slash bug slash something that kind of took me out for a while, a hot minute. The throat was not where it needed to be. My voice, I lost my voice. It was not great. This was also amongst the news that a new strand of COVID had been found in California. So I was nervous, but I took a COVID test and it was not bad. So I was fine from that. And I'd had my flu shot before I left. So all that to say, I'm betting it really could have been worse. So it was basically a week. I think that I was sick, but somewhere in that time, I managed to pass the 50,000 word mark, so I did not win NaNoWriMo. Right, that's I guess what we should discuss in part. I didn't win NaNoWriMo, and I think I knew it was a bit of a long shot before November even started, because I started this rewrite in, I think, October, maybe the last bit of September, but I think just October, and I didn't hit the word count goal I knew I needed to get to, because November I had not only Comic-Con in this trip, but I'd also gone to Disney before. So anyways, I'm making up for not being able to travel, which is one of my loves. But of course, this meant that my NaNoWriMo suffered for it. But I'm really proud and I'm really happy with the progress in Project Death, and I'm still hopeful, as we're in December, that I may finish it before the new year. It is a little bit of a stretch goal, but Jessica Williamson and I are not exchanging our novels until the end of January, so I don't really want to think that yet. I want to just aim for December 31st, but like worst case, January 31st. I have already told myself that I'm not gonna plan any more November trips, or I think I'm just going to maybe not participate in NaNoWriMo, but I don't know. This is not the first time I've taken a trip during NaNoWriMo. In fact, I think I have for like the past, I don't know, minus 2020. I think 2019 I took a trip during November, and I think I was doing daily vlogs then too, and it was just very hectic and a lot, and yeah, maybe just the goal will not be to win, or I'll give myself a smaller goal in the future if I do travel. But I would love just like one November, next November, where I can start a new project, which I haven't done in a while for NaNoWriMo, and just see what happens, you know? So anyways, it was wonderful though. I wasn't celebrating. I had several people tag me in their post for crossing the finish line on November 30th, and that was wonderful because I felt like I got to celebrate a little bit, right? While acknowledging that my celebration would still come later. So I didn't work while getting sick. Ooh, lots of light changes. I'm pulling up my Scriptify. So I didn't work while I was sick. And that means that I've really only just started working on the project again. But I have one scene left to go before I finish chapter 19, and then chapter 20 marks many pivotal things, but includes 2 deaths as we're talking about Project Death. So I'm so excited, and I talked about how all of that like percolation work I knew would reward in the end, even though I felt very stuck at the time, and it fucking did, because I was out on a walk and I texted myself like 5 paragraphs where it all culminated, right? Like it all just started making sense. Oops, I accidentally typed. I'm maybe at the 60% mark right now. So really things are starting to like, up until this point, it's all been like opening things, maybe closing something here and there with an occasional death or so, but really just like making the world broader. And so I need to start going like this. And I knew where everyone needed to be at the last like 90 to 100% mark. And I knew the pivotal things that needed to happen because I'd re-outlined before I did this rewrite. But something was just not feeling right about the 85% mark. It was like I had all of the ingredients, but I couldn't really get it to mix right in my head. Like it was a stew, and it was just taking a little bit longer to all get the flavors I wanted for the end outcome. Don't know that that was a good metaphor, but we're running with it. Okay, so something about that walk, I came up with the scene, maybe the chapter, but like it all made sense. The very quick cascade of things that needs to happen one right after the other to set up this last bit. And I don't know why, even though I'd outlined it, it hadn't really come together in my brain, but now I fucking have it. So the great thing is now I don't have a question mark at this one spot or like this hesitation. I'm clearly writing to this point. Then after that, I will be writing to the end. I am so fucking stoked. That was my NaNoWriMo. That was my Comic-Con special edition experience. And I wouldn't change anything about it. Not even the food poisoning. Actually, no, I would change the food poisoning. It was so wonderful. And I had an amazing time. And I am just so excited to potentially be able to go to July's Comic-Con. I really don't know what they're gonna do. You know, who knows what the future has in store. Except that I'm excited for my project, and I think I've succeeded in making it better. And I will, you know, in 2022 early on, get some beta reader feedback on it, make the changes, and then hope to query it. And I'm just so excited. So yeah, NaNoWriMo, I didn't win, but I don't really feel like I lost either. And that's the important part. Thank you for joining me on this very long journey. I hope you enjoyed at least part of it. Please do comment down below. I know it's a bit belated, but let me know how NaNoWriMo went for you. Let me how your December is shaping up. Let me know how your WIP is looking, whether you've started a new one after NaNoWriMo or you're continuing your NaNoWriMo novel. And let me know what's on the horizon for 2022. But that's gonna be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon with a new video. Bye.